slackening or yielding in one's purpose. These next two events are what define it for me. It happened a few years ago, when I was 11 and my brother Reese was 9. My dad worked the night shift and I got to sleep in my mom's room. It had been stormy all week and the weather wasn't getting any better. I woke with a loud crash and the sounds of wind and rain smashing into a wall a few feet away from me. The crash seemed to shake the room, and my mom woke up and yelled for Reese and I to go down to the basement. Reese slept in a bunk bed and was startled by the yelling, and he fell out of his bed onto a metal chair. My mom and I ran to his room where he laid on the floor. He stood up and then only walked a few steps before collapsing onto the hallway floor. He lay there screaming. I was clueless. I had no idea what to do, but my mom did. She laid her hands on him and began to pray. She was crying out to God in a way I had never seen. Reese struggled to get up. He was in too much pain. He just couldn't. My mom continued to pray for what seemed like forever. She sat by him and prayed in a relentless pursuit after God, and he did come. Reese was healed in that moment. The screaming stopped and he stood up. All seemed still. I was amazed at what had just happened. Even though I believed in God before, I believed so much more after that. I had never really understood how powerful my God really is. Because of my mom's relentless pursuit and her prayers, I learned the power of prayers and of our God. Matthew 19:26 says, Jesus looked at them and said, with man this is impossible, but with God all things are possible. The next day, after Reese was healed, my family found out that the crashing sound was a tree that had fallen on our house, only a few feet from where I had been sleeping. I realized now so much more that God does hear our prayers. He does help his children. We just need to call out to him. The next event I want to discuss is about the woman from the Bible with the issue of blood. It displays what can happen when someone is driven to Jesus and is showing no signs of slackening or yielding in their purpose. Mark 5:24-34 says, a large crowd followed and pressed around him, Jesus, and a woman was there who had been subject to bleeding for 12 years. She had suffered a great deal under the care of many doctors and had spent all she had. Yet, instead of getting better, she grew worse. When she heard about Jesus, she came up behind him in a crowd and touched his cloak because she thought, if I just touch his clothes, I will be healed. Immediately her bleeding stopped. She felt in her body that she was freed from her suffering. And at once, Jesus realized that the power had gone out from him. He turned around in the crowd and asked, who touched me? You see the people crowding against you, his disciples answered, and yet you ask, who touched me? But Jesus kept looking around to see who had done it. Then the woman, knowing what had happened to her, came and fell at his feet. Trembling with fear, she told him the whole truth. He said to her, daughter, your faith has healed you. Go in peace and be freed from your suffering. Not only was the woman relentless in the fact that she reached out for Jesus in the crowd and answered when he questioned who touched him, but also in the fact she went where she was not allowed. Since she was bleeding, she was not allowed in the general public. She was considered unclean. She was taking a huge risk in going in the crowd. But because she believed, because she knew if she only touched the hem of Jesus' clothes, she would be healed. She was relentless. She risked her life. But like in verse 34, her faith healed her. She believed enough against all odds Jesus would set her free, and he did. If we believe in the relentless, unstoppable kind of way, God will come through. All we need to do is call to him and believe. We need to be relentless in our pursuit after Jesus, the one who saved me, the one who saved my brother, and the one who healed the woman, Jesus Christ.